Welcome to the next episode of Alignment First. Mike Anders here, and I have the honor and the pleasure of speaking with, sharing time and energy with J.R. Butler, the founder, CEO of Shift Group, helping high-performing veterans and athletes translate their unique experience into long-term career success. And fast friends through the post. Shout out to Christian Ponder and everything that he's creating there, man. And the world just got a little bit smaller. One of my teammates from high school, Dennis Hicks, overlapped with you just a little bit in your time at Holy Cross when you played hockey. So all of that being said, man, I am honored. It is Friday. It's late, and you're taking time out of your day to bless our audience with your wisdom and your experience, man. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super pumped for this conversation.
Yeah, dude, I looked at your bio, the breakdown that you sent me, and we missed each other in Austin this year. You spoke on last year's panel, and this tie-in between veterans and athletes. I had an out-of-body experience at the summit this year, and I wrote a blog about it and everything. You can see it at coachdurs.com. It was an amazing experience. And I shared this with Christian, and I hadn't had time to sit with self long enough to really put my finger on it. And I'm there now. I was like, dude, you have managed to successfully put together the experience that veteran organizations drop the ball on continuously, in that everyone here is engaged and has transcended their identity of athlete into their corporate post-athletic existence. And I was like, and I'm sitting there in this experience over the course of 3 days, and I'm like, what's different about this that makes this dynamic, this elevated frequency permeate this experience? And of course, as all things do, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, aha, that's it. What I noticed, what came to me, was that everybody in that container is talking from a place of a perspective of enhancing and advancing, right? Your athletic experience has created a superpower, a resilience to stress, an ability to endure and outperform. Whereas a lot of the messaging in the veteran community, even with things that have this similar intention, is one of, you're broken and you need to be fixed.
Totally.
Does that resonate at all with you?
I honestly, you talk about your 3 a.m. I just had a 4:45 p.m. Epiphany, because I think you're bang on. I've never looked at it or thought of it that way, but I think about the partners that we work with, that the foundations that send us veterans, and that is the core. It's like, you need help, right? Like, and my perspective is like, no, you're perfect. You just need to point it in a different direction now. That's it. That's all you need.
Yeah.
So I love that. Yes.
Thanks, man. It was really interesting, because I was like, man, this is either bang on, or I'm going to piss a lot of people off and be like, and they're going to ask me, where are you hanging out? It was really interesting, man. Because we now have this digital container that allows us to support our clients at volume and at a high level. And I'm looking for organizations like yours to support that lifestyle integration piece. And I was like, man, there's no way this is unique by design, right, and exclusive to the athlete community, because all the conversations I'm having are eerily similar to the ones we have in the veteran community. And it was so like out of body for me, having lost the identity twice, as I like to describe it. I left the uniform of athletics, and a lot of what drives athletes to the military is, there's another mission, there's a tribe, all of that, and the scaffolding that supports your greatness exists in that container. And I'm like, these conversations sound so familiar.
Totally.
Where have I had this conversation? Oh, that's it. But it's from a place and I'm like, so what attracts these people? What creates consistency of engagement? Why do they continue to show up versus the folks that come once and never come again on the veteran side of the house? And I realize, like in survival training, water survival, for example, they're like, you don't swim towards a drowning victim, right? You got to figure out how to support them from a distance and help them in saving themselves. Otherwise, you run the risk of drowning too, right? And that's a lot of the messaging in these veteran organizations, or at least the message received, not intended.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I put that disclaimer out there. And it's like, why would I want to put my trauma first? Yes, that work needs to be done. Yes, we need to acknowledge PTSD and all of those things are real. And like there needs to be the message that needs to be communicated up front is the upward mobility. Yes. Your service is a superpower, not the obstacle.
Totally.
With all of that, I'm done talking. Tell me what's showing up for you, man, because I'm happy that it resonates and it's not just me. And yeah, go ahead, dude.
Well, it's funny because people always ask me, because I'm an athlete, right? I never served in the military. I obviously, like many millennials, I guess, I come from a family where, my grandparents were the greatest generation. They all served. I got a lot of first cousins and friends I grew up with that served in the military. And I recognize the parallels, like as a 25-year-old, recently retired hockey player sitting in really bar rooms in Worcester, Massachusetts, kind of, bitching about like, I have to start over. Like I didn't do internships. I didn't network. I was shooting pucks and working out and lifting weights. And, I got my buddies who are like, I was in Afghanistan. I have to start over. Right. And then, there is a little bit of shared pain in that loss of identity, that loss of purpose, that loss of playbook is what I call it, right? Like you join the military, you play a sport. It's like, here's the playbook, right? It's not easy at all, but it's there for you. You know what you need to do. And then you kind of come out of it and it's like, oh shit, what do I do now? So there's that sharedness between the two populations. But to your point, the other sharedness is the resiliency. It's the in sports, they call it coachability. In the military, they call it trainability. You got to have a growth mindset. You're going to do a bunch of shit that you're not good at. And you got to be comfortable being uncomfortable and getting better. You got to have that growth mindset. And then again, you said it with the tribe, like there's very few people nowadays who have a team first attitude. There's a lot of selfish people out there. And as somebody who's building a business now, that's not who I want on my team. I want somebody who's like, I've always said this: customer first, company second, team third. You're going to make a decision based off the outcome for you last. And that is not natural for most people, but it gets hammered into you when you wear a uniform for a job. And to me, when they ask me that question, I'm like, what do you mean? It makes so much sense to me, but I have to explain it to more people than I should. But I see the parallels between both. To me, the populations are way more similar than they are different.
Yeah, 100%. So how did you, first of all, let's talk about the origins of Shift Group. Where did not the company, but the mission start for you?
Yeah, so I'm my fan. So hockey, like a lot of like sports, especially at a higher level, it's a small world. My dad is a Hall of Fame high school hockey coach. I'm one of three boys. We all played college hockey. One of my brothers played at the NHL and Olympic level. And when I got out of hockey, I had a few years of like real struggle. And it really took a mentor to sit down with me and have probably the conversation you have every day, which is like, dude, you have everything it takes. You got whatever got you in the locker room, JR, that's what gets you in the boardroom. If that's what you want to do, right? That's the first thing you got to decide, because you decided at 6 years old, you wanted to be a college hockey player. Now
Mhm.
you got to decide what the next vision is for you. Then you just have to apply yourself to that vision the same way you applied yourself to becoming a college hockey player. The
Mhm.
only difference is the skills that you're not going to shoot 500 pucks a day so you can become a CEO, but you're going to do 500 reps of something to
Mhm.
get better at them. And then you can become a CEO someday. So I was lucky to have that conversation. So when and once I did, I had a really good run as a technology sales leader. I was part of a great company build here in Boston, do a $2 billion acquisition. And because the hockey world is small, and my brother played for pro hockey for 16 years, and my dad still coaches junior hockey, and my other brother refs college hockey, inevitably I was getting calls literally 5 times a week from people who are like, "Hey, I'm retiring from hockey. I heard you're not that smart, JR, but you make a lot of money. Can you help me? Can you help me?" Which is, by the way, very, very fair assessment of me. Can you help me? Like, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do next. So I was doing it always for free. And dude, like, you help people, it gives you so much energy. It's such a rewarding feeling. So as I started to go along, I started to think about, how can I monetize this? I'm not gonna charge a 26-year-old who just made 18 grand playing minor pro hockey, right? Thankfully, because of my time in corporate, I used recruiters and staffing businesses, and I'm like, well, the businesses should fund this because these people are going to bring like immense business value to organizations. So I started to, I'll never forget it. I was on a flight to London. This is like 5 years before I started the company. And I was at Logan Airport, and I got that call that I get all the time from a hockey kid. And I helped him a little bit. And I got on the flight. I was supposed to sleep. Instead, I like literally built a PowerPoint deck of like what the vision for this business was going to be. And it was all about trying to help as many people as possible make this transition successfully, which I believe starts with self-reflection. It starts with being able to tell your story in a positive way, and really view your story in a positive way. That's kind of the first thing. And then tell it, and then figure out what you want to do, and then explain why you want to do it and why you'd be a good fit for it, and then go after it. Right.
Yeah.
So it was always there. And then finally, I just, in the beginning of 2022, I burned the boats, and I was like, let's turn this into a company. And the rest is history ever since.
Wow. What's showing up for me, and why I feel like the identity is the riff in identity upon, separation from sport and service exists, is because we forget our own origin story. All those 500 reps that you were talking about were for free.
Yeah.
In the dark, with nobody watching,
Nobody.
with your own internal intrinsic motivation driving the boat, right? We forget about that.
We do.
So when it comes to, so like that whole starting over thing, it's like, you've done this before. You just forgot it was so damn early, or you had all this other stuff going on. It almost feels like it was in the periphery.
Totally. Plus I think, and I just thought of this, it gets a little normalized for you because you're around other people that did it to get in that room. So you're like, oh, this is what people do. They work their ass off to get their goals. And it's what you don't appreciate is like, no, dude, only 2.5% of the college population plays a sport. This is a big fucking deal that you're here. Nobody. When I say that stat, when I speak in front of college teams and athletic departments, everyone, like, you see them on their phone, like, is that true? And I'm like, yeah, there's 19 million college students.
They're fact checking you.
Yeah. 460,000 at all three levels of college sports. You are special. Number one, you got to appreciate that.
And it's a choice. You get recruited, but nobody's getting drafted into college. Like, you're choosing everything that comes with that, 100%. and to play the duration of your eligibility makes you put you in even more rarefied air, because how many guys and girls do we know that ended up in Gen Pop, so to speak, because they're like, dude, this feels like a job.
Totally.
I don't want to do, it's not fun anymore.
Totally.
And I think people run out of fun either because they've been doing it for too long, which in today's day and age with like early specialization, which I absolutely hate, is more likely than ever. And also it's like, oh, you were really good and then you get to whatever the next level is. Eventually we get there and you realize, no, dude, everybody's big, everybody's fast, everybody's strong. Like, you're not that special at this level anymore. I had do you know Mike Weiscup through the post?
Yes.
Have you met him?
Yep.
What a gem that dude is.
Yeah.
But I was asking him, I was like, why does even in the military, there's like levels to this thing, right? And then I was like, why does SEAL Team 6 get all the celebrity? Were they just the lucky ones that went and got Bin Laden? He's like, no. They're the only ones that would get that mission.
Yeah.
And he walked me through that, and he's like, yeah, dude, you could be a SEAL, but not everybody gets to be SEAL Team 6. So there's so eventually if you climb the ladder high enough, you run out of special.
Totally 100%. Well said.
So where does the veteran component of the mission come in? Like how did that get attached to, like, okay, hockey guys and athletes in general are facing this issue and I have a solution. Awesome. Where'd the veteran component come from?
It honestly, it goes back to those misery loves company conversations when I was, still drinking, 25, miserable, feeling really sorry for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't sitting there drinking alone. I was drinking with my buddies that just got back from Afghanistan and Iraq. And we're like, they're saying what I'm saying. We're nodding each other's heads. And, I was reminded of that pretty quickly when I started the business. And I'm like, listen, veterans need this help too. And veterans are just as special as athletes. And arguably, you're talking about 1% of the general population. That's a very, very high bar. And to me, it was, again, like a layup, no brainer. We added it almost immediately after we started the company.
Yeah. I lost it. What's missing? What is the gap? Yeah, I'll ask it this way. What resources are going untouched, unnoticed, or the red tape bureaucracy part is too thick for the veteran, for what you do to be a necessity?
I think so. It's similar in both worlds. Both populations walk into, there's services. The military has career services, and every college campus has career services. And some of the big schools have athlete specific career services. The challenge, in my opinion, is when you look at the and I got to be careful here, but I got to be honest too. Like when you look at the folks who are in charge of that, right? Like TAPS is the military version of it. 3 days. But when you actually look at the guy running it, it's like an E9 sergeant major who never worked in corporate. So now it's his job to tell you as a retiring service member how to break into corporate. And here's a guy who never did it, right? And then you look at the academic side, and you've got lifelong higher ed administrators and people that, again, have never been in corporate, right? And I'm able to bubble it up pretty quickly in the college world because there's less bureaucracy, it's less large, it's kind of one-to-one conversations, and you kind of ask these people like, okay, what's the most common job that people get when they leave your school? Usually they can't answer that. When they do, you ask them, oh, what's the salary for that? They don't know the answer. And it's like, listen, I don't know about you, but like, I think it's pretty important for a 23-year-old when they decide what they're going to do for the rest, not necessarily the rest of their life, but at least their first move into this world of corporate,
Mhm.
you might want to give them some knowledge about like, what's the upside, what's the downside, what's
Mhm.
the path look like, what's the day-to-day look like. And 99% of these people have never lived it, so they can't answer those questions. They can tell you how your resume needs to look, but that's like, what's that mean, right? Like, what's the
Yeah.
value in that really
Mhm.
compared to what it actually takes, especially in a job market like we're in now,
Yeah.
to get a job. And I got out of school in 08 with a sociology degree and a minor in art history and sign language. Like, talk about unemployable, dude, right? Like, and I tried to use their help. And
Mhm.
I was immediately like, well, you guys don't know what the hell's going on. And I'm a first generation college graduate. My dad's a hockey coach. My mother was a hairdresser and a real estate agent. Like,
Mhm.
my dad was like, be a firefighter, dude. You can, like your cousins, you can get pension. Like,
Yeah.
well,
Right.
I went to a pretty good school. I think I can try to do like a little bit more.
Mhm.
And there's more kids like me than there aren't, I think, in those
Yeah.
situations.
Oh, totally. Case in point, man. I remember my brother, who's getting ready to retire from the UFC, was on Saban's first championship team at Bama.
Amazing.
Okay. Now, coming through a pedigree program like that, the rumor is because you came here, there's a pot of gold in terms of alumni support and career opportunities, etc., waiting for you when football is over. Right. I remember hearing these things. All right. Now, blue chip and pedigree as Alabama may be, it's not a service academy. They're not ring knockers where like doors magically open, even if you fuck up real bad. Okay. He goes undrafted by the Cleveland. He goes undrafted free agent to the Cleveland Browns. Doesn't work out. Goes to Canada. Doesn't work out. Spends a season or two in Arena 2. Doesn't work out. Comes back to Alabama, and the only thing available to him, and he's very transparent about this. I'm not talking out of pocket here. He drove a truck for Coca-Cola or Pepsi. He's like, dude, I want a natty. I got a shot at the league, and this is what I'm doing now. What what? And the writing on the wall was, despite his general health, his bachelor's in general health, right? The fine print is, if you're a legacy player,
Right.
those doors are available to you.
Yeah.
Those kids had the script. They took the business classes. They knew how to manage the system and find those opportunities. Matter of fact, at the Post, at one of the panel that stood up and talked about academic equity, because coming from being a bounce back out of a service academy into a civilian school, where you have the academic rigor, the military obligations, and you're taking 21 to 24 hours a semester. Like, it's not that should be the standard, but it is possible, right? Because literally thousands of kids every year are graduating with these degrees, having gone through that, right? Now, that's counter to East Texas A&M, where I had to get waivers signed by my academic advisor, my position coach, and my head coach to take more than 15 hours a semester. And I'm a health and human performance major.
Right.
I'm not trying to put us on the moon again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So it's like, how many engineers, quote unquote, high doctors, lawyers, insert high value, societally high value professionals do we lose to athletics? Because they're not those courses don't line up with your athletic obligations, or they're the institution in places those limitations on the athlete from the jump, and they never sniff those opportunities.
Yep. Amen,
Right?
man. 100%. 100%.
And so it was really interesting to be in that room full of people who have like either through savvy networking or their own fortitude, figured it out.
Totally.
And I'm like, okay, so how do we set the system up now that we're in the NIL and we're calling it what it actually is? You're a professional athlete, how do we set the system up so that it's mutually beneficial? Like the wild west of, like, I think eventually these athletes are going to have contracts, not scholarships, but they're going to play for the institution.
Yep.
Right. So how do you set that up so that they're set up, they are successful beyond sport?
I think, unfortunately, the only way to do it, and I think the NCAA is starting to think about this a little bit more thoughtfully, but I think the institution has to be held accountable to career outcomes for athletes. Like, it's the only way. It's like anything else, right? You incentivize the behaviors that you're looking for. And if it's important for the NCAA and the colleges and most importantly, the parents, that they're going to send their boy or girl to an institution, that the NCAA or whatever governing body it is holds the institution accountable to not just success on the field or the ice, but also the outcome when you graduate, when you walk across the stage. And that's the only way that the behavior is going to change. Because, unfortunately, like, we're in the business of trying to convince these schools to use our free services. And you'd be shocked. Actually, you probably wouldn't, but many people are shocked by the pushback. Like, well, that feels like a distraction. It's like, dude, what do you mean it's a distraction? It's the only reason that the kid is in your school, right? Like,
yeah,
they are there to have a better life and a better future for their family. And the only way that's going to happen is, for 99% of them, is through their career path choice. And if you think this is a distraction, you're thinking about this the wrong way. But that's what's incentivized right now. So that's what's got to be fixed. I think personally, it has to be fixed at the institutional level.
Oh, 100%. I completely agree. And, one of the other prevailing conversations at the summit that we were having is what we're talking about here is not sending kids into these athletic programs with a backup plan. We're trying to let's call it what it is. We're trying to win championships here.
Yes.
Okay. However, there is something that needs to happen in parallel, very much in the same way that it took to get that scholarship in the first place. It's a evolution of what already exists in public schools. Like, how'd you get this kid to graduate high school and earn a scholarship / play sport?
Right.
It can't be that different.
No.
But on the military side of the house, what's interesting, my brother, 20-year retired infantry Marine, enlisted out of high school, earned a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and has like every emergency management certification known to man. all before he retired.
And all paid for mostly by the government, as it should be.
And now he's an executive for a Fortune 500. And he, apparently he cracked the code.
Yep.
Right. So, and what I want to get into is like there's two sides to this coin. There's the institutional support, like in terms of like doing what you said you were going to do, but also the self-accountability of the individual.
Yes.
Because, and I know you get this, you have to, because this is the ethos of your business. My brother just happened to do it, where he gets phone calls all the time. Like, hey dude, how'd you do it? And he's like, enroll in this course, get your command to sign this letter, boom, 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 boom. And he even puts a reminder after these phone calls. He was doing it for free. He doesn't do it for free anymore. That's what I'm about to tell you. He went the extra mile, put a reminder in his phone. He's like, I'm gonna check in in 90 days, and we'll see how you're doing. I'm like, oh dude, I got busy. Never mind. Whatever. It's too much red tape. This, that, and the other. And my brother was like, Michael, Like they're calling me and they're hurting, and I give them the blueprint.
Yeah, the answers to the test.
And they don't do it. They don't follow through. What the hell? I was like, dude, they don't have any skin in the game.
Nope. That's literally why we don't charge athletes or veterans, and all the training is self-led, because if you're not going to help yourself, we can't help you.
Okay. I was going to say, so what does it look like for Shift Group when you get these? How do they come into your ecosystem and leverage your services and resources?
Yeah, we got we're up to about 1,000 new athletes and veterans a month, and the pipeline is kind of split between the existing athletic partnerships. That's about a third. We get a third from referrals, and those are the highest converting because they're getting referred in by a teammate or a friend who went through the program and got a job. And then a third is we've invested. We got to go meet Gen Z where they are, which is TikTok and Instagram and Twitter. So we get a lot of organic signups as well through those channels. But when they sign up, we don't collect credit card information or anything like that. It's like, here's what we do, here's how we do it, here's what the outcome can be, but you got to now go earn it. And we're gonna be there the whole time to help you. But you got to join a group call, you got to do this assignment, you got to do that next step. And if you don't do it, we're not going to chase you. Like, we don't chase. It's either you want it or you don't. And the other option is go be like everyone else and apply to 200 jobs with a piece of paper and hope that they notice you. And like I've always said, hope is not a strategy. So choose your path.
I'm asking this genuinely, and it's not a joke, but it's going to sound funny. Like, how do you sleep at night when those, like, what is the attrition rate with that model? Because like I agree with everything you just said. And there's the nobility of the mission. And it's just like, fuck, we lost another one. Like, how does that manifest for you?
We've improved. It used to be like 90%, but a lot of that was the experience, meaning like it was a lot of group call, or it was a lot of one-to-one calls. It was a lot of like, the tech wasn't great. We built a very Gen Z friendly platform that because you have to appreciate that somebody who's 25 right now was 7 years old when the iPhone came out. So if you're going to ask them to do something with technology, it has to be pretty intuitive and it has to be good experience, because that's what they're used to. And even with the massive investment we made in the tech, it's still about a 60% attrition rate. So it's still, to your point, it's hard to sleep at night, because I'm like, if you do this, you are going to be successful. Like, it's not a question. We've got all the data. We see the outcomes. We've been doing this long enough and we've helped enough people that we know that this works. Please do it. But sometimes you got to play the game. You got to use your success stories and put those videos up, and but again, some people are just, it's like, I'm sure you've heard it. Choose your hard. It's hard. Our program is hard, but so is just applying blindly to every job in your geo. Choose your hard, man. Choose it. And we can only hope that they choose our hard. That's it.
Yeah. You make a great point. Choose your hard. You can go figure all this shit out yourself, which, I got out. I dropped papers in 2015 after 3 years in the reserves after active service. And I just remember, like, I had started my company and going to the bank and trying to figure out like the SBA and all that stuff. And I know this isn't the song being sung now, but it is 100% what I thought I heard at one point. It's like, dude, there's all these things available to you as a veteran entrepreneur. And then you go to the bank, which is like, one of the biggest institutions that the land of the free and the home of the brave has.
Yeah.
And they're like, what program are you talking about? Like they said, there's programs out here for us to like start businesses and do things. And like, Chase doesn't have anything like that. I was like, But we can give you a no fee credit card, you know, like.
Thanks.
So let's do some myth busting, man. Like what are the realities of since we can play on both sides of the fence here, athletes and veterans, what are the myths that your veterans what are the unrealized expectations that they have that they thought were available that actually aren't once they leave service?
Yeah, I mean, you talked about SEALs. We work with a lot of SOF, a lot of special operations, a lot of like junior military officers, and I think the expectation, like those are the elite of the elite, full stop, right? And I think their expectation is like, all right, I climbed a mountaintop, I proved that I have what it takes. Now I should just go and start at this other mountaintop in this other world of corporate, right? I was a SAR major, so I should be a VP. And it's like, so the way I always explain it to them is like, listen, and it's actually pretty easy with soft guys. I'm like, okay, like, would you bring Tom Brady or LeBron James on a combat mission with you without like some years of experience and training? And they're like, no, they couldn't handle that. They don't know the details. They don't know this. They don't know that. I'm like, listen to yourself, dude. Like, I guarantee you, if Tom Brady decided, at some point in his life that he wanted to be a Navy SEAL and he did the work, he'd be a really good Navy SEAL because that's who he is. But he doesn't get to start at Navy SEAL just because of what he did in football. So you don't get to start at the VP level because of what you did in the military. You got to climb the mountain again, dude. But the beauty of it is you have so many more tools than the kid that's going to start at the same level as you. He's going to take a while to get up that mountain. You're going to go up there fast if you apply yourself, but you don't just get to go mountaintop to mountaintop. That's, I think, the biggest issue that we have with, especially with like the really high level veterans that come into our program, and the right ones get it and they do the work. And guess what? They're the ones that end up coming back to us in a year. And they're like, hey, I'm a hiring manager at the company you placed me at. So now I'm going to be evaluating the candidates you send us. We love those stories. But that's the biggest misconception I see on the veteran side. They think it's an immediate parallel, and it's just not. It's just they gotta realize, like, you got to take a step back to move forward.
And what about the athletes? What are the unrealistic or we'll just call it, we'll stay there. The unrealistic expectations that athletes have that come through Shift Group.
Yeah, I don't know if this is like athlete specific, but I think it's more Gen Z. They're quite delusional about what they're worth when they get out. Nil doesn't help. You got a kid who's making 350 grand and he's like a 6-man off the bench at like a mid-major. That's
you've had a couple of those come through.
Oh yeah. Like, what do you mean? I made 350 grand last year. Like, I don't care. Dude, you made 350 grand because you run fast and jump high. Like, this is not that, and you're gonna have to start entry level like everyone else. And there's a survey just came out. 77% of Gen Z thinks that they're gonna make more than $500,000 a year someday.
77%.
Yes, imagine that. That's like the definition of delusion, man. Like, no. So I think there's a little bit of a nobody's really. And I'm not trying to paint broad stroke paint a whole generation, but there's definitely a lack of like real understanding of like the meaning of business value and like the ROI that you get based off the skill that you bring to an organization. And there's just a general misconception of how numbers work in general.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Like, they want to be making 6 figures as soon as they get out. And it's like, no, that's not the median salary in the United States. Median is $54,000. That means more than half of the country, or at least half the country, makes less money than that. And I'm not talking about entry-level jobs. I'm talking about everybody. So what makes you think you're worth 150K in your first job? It's nonsense. And that's again, not necessarily athletic specific, but it's Gen Z in general. The challenge is with those athletes that are making money now, they they actually have something to compare it to, and it's just not the same. It's not the same level.
Right. So, but at the same time, going back to forgetting your origin story, you've been at that craft for 20 plus years to create 350 plus $1,000 worth of value.
Yes.
Now you're talking about like learning tech and code and whatever the hell's going on organizationally.
You have, yeah.
Like you don't have that depth of specialization, even if that was your major, right? But let's go intangibles, right? Because I remember, because I chose entrepreneurship. I knew upon leaving the military that I was going to start next level. That was happening no matter what. And I still, I've got 2.5 master's degrees since then. And I would communicate to my buddies that were frustrated with the job market and stuff like that. And the few resumes that I took a look at, I was like, dude, this looks like your fitness report. Nobody cares how many millions of dollars of government assets you were in charge of. What does that mean? You know what I mean?
I'm laughing because every fucking military resume has that. It's like, dude.
So what are some of the instruments or the methodologies that you use, both athlete and veteran, that help them communicate their intangible value to the organization? Like concepts like your ability to execute successfully on a 70% solution, things like that are very, like, you can't measure it really, but that's what you've been doing since forever.
Yeah. Well, what we teach is we go even probably a couple levels deeper, which is like pathway specific, meaning you want to do business development, you want to be a salesperson. Let's think about that role specifically and what's required of it and where your intangibles are going to be meaningful. And instead of the, managed,
you've seen it. Oh my God.
Managed $25 million. Like, guess what, dude? Nobody cares, right? Like,
yeah.
Let's think about where you've motivated, influenced other people to take the action you want to take, right? Like, let's think about that pathway specifically, your experience, and what those bullets under that title need to be for that pathway. And that's how we teach it. We're trying to get them as tight as possible on a pathway versus like, I just want to go work I need a job and I want to go work at a good company. Like, the reality is, and this is also a hard pill for athletes and veterans to swallow. And it's the second video they have to record, which is, why do you want to do this pathway? That's a second required video, because what you don't understand as a young person is like, well, I have all these intangibles, just give me a shot and I'll prove myself and I'll figure it out. And it's like, well, dude, no offense, but like, I have a number, and as much as I love your intangibles, I don't really want to pay you $75,000 a year to help you figure out what you want to do. I want to hear why you want to do this and why you're going to be good at this, right? Yeah. Now, because that $75,000 salary, it's really like a $200,000 investment for me, because I'm going to pay you your base, I'm going to give you benefits, and I'm as the leader and my second line leaders, we're going to take time out of our day where we're supposed to be productive to go and train you and make you better. That's expensive. So no, although I appreciate your intangibles, if you can't explain to me why you want to do this job at this company, then unfortunately I have to take somebody who can't answer that question. So we're trying to get into the weeds with these folks as much as we can on those types of questions, because that's the ones they need to answer to get a job.
Yeah, dude, good on you. I hadn't. Yeah, that is many levels deeper than just being able to articulate your intangibles. Totally. Why do you want to do this job for this company? And answer that directly. Thank you very much. Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Dude, I appreciate you so much on behalf of all veterans and athletes, man. Like that, it's very thought out. It's very empathetic to where they are at that point in transition. And also it's that tough love. Like, okay, no, obviously nobody, well, for some of them maybe who get hip to it faster, but like obviously nobody's told you that your shit stinks.
Right.
So
100%.
I want to give you that realization, and we're going to build you from here.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah.
Dude, like that's massive. That's
Yep.
massive.
Yeah.
So why you? Why J.R. Butler?
What do you mean?
Why is this mission for you?
So the way the transition showed up for me was because I didn't have the tools, because I wasn't prepared for it. I went down like a path of drugs and alcohol. Like that's just how I dealt with it.
Is this post athletics, or did you
Post.
use while you played?
Good question. I'm chief culture officer. I've always been a party guy, right? Always been a little bit of an animal, but I was always a team guy. So like we had practice, like my shit was together, and I didn't party the night before. So I always had these like guardrails around this like this kind of thirst for the party life.
Yeah.
And then it was gone. So the guardrails went away and it was like game over. And honestly, dude, like I almost died. I call it my handcuffs and hospital errors. A lot of like Narcan, a lot of like, you know, just really, really scary situations. Looking back at it as a 40-year-old, I'm very fortunate to still be alive.
Yeah.
So that was one piece of it. The other piece of it was I was a CRO at a multi-billion-dollar company before I turned 35. But when you look at the way that companies evaluate talent, I don't get an interview today, right? Like my GPA wasn't good, my majors weren't right, I never had an internship. But I would have been a really good hire, dude, right? So and like, you know, my mom is a perfect example. She dropped out of high school, got her hairdressing license, cut hair, and then she became a real estate agent at 40 and was one of the top producing real estate agents in central Massachusetts. She would not show up in today's talent evaluation process. So the other thing that we do that's different is every single candidate has to build a profile and be viewable by our partners. They have to record videos, and the partners aren't allowed to look at the resume until they watch at least one of the videos. So you tell your story on video, you explain why you want to do what you want to do, and then you showcase these skills that we teach you. And then my belief is we're in a world now where for some reason we have more technology in our hand than it took to get to the moon. And we still decide the most important decision we make as business leaders, which is the people we hire, based off their ability to structure a Microsoft Word document and put the right keywords in it. And that is bullshit. Full stop. It's the dumbest, most irrational, illogical thing that still exists. And at the end of the day, if the only thing that changes because of Shift Group is that athletes and veterans are able to proceed with confidence in their transition and companies stop using pieces of paper to evaluate talent, then I will have left my mark on this world. Like that's at the core of what we do. That's what I want to change more than anything in the whole world.
Wow. That's a tall order, brother.
I know it is. I know it is.
How does for the companies that are looking for the talent you're nurturing, how do they become a partner with you? Like how do they leverage Shift Group and the talent that you're grooming?
Yeah, we built a software. It's a software business, so we have it's like Huddle for hiring people. Instead of pieces of paper, when you look into the portal, you can find out where people live, what they want to do, and then you watch their videos and you decide if you want to interview them. You book an interview right through the platform, and they pay us a subscription. So we're moving away. We used to hire per hire when I first started the company. Now we're moving to the full access subscription, no additional fees. And you know, it's like coming to like a LinkedIn recruiter, but everybody's way more qualified, and has all the intangibles guaranteed that you're looking for. And we think that that's a much better, it's a faster path to finding the right talent than getting 2,000 resumes and hoping that you find the right person.
So if you're, I want to get into your story here. If you're the user prime of the shift group pathway, how did you navigate your way out of down and out, washed up hockey player, substance abuse, into CRO of a multi-billion-dollar company by 35?
The same way I went from like a extremely ungifted, unnaturally talented hockey player to a Division I hockey player. I fucking worked my ass off, dude. Made some sacrifices along the way, had some discipline. You know, to be fair, the first thing I did was I got sober. It's been 13 years. That was number one.
Yeah.
Like I needed to, I always tell people I'm allergic to alcohol. I break out handcuffs and hospitals visits.
I love that so much. Wow. You know, dude, I have a number of clients who have been sober for decades, and the through line in them and why they're still my clients is their sense of humor about their past. So that's why I appreciate that. Yeah. I break out in handcuffs in hospitals so much. Like, I appreciate that so much, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So that and then the daily application of just consistent hard work, effort, and, lifelong learning. Like, I think the combination of those three things is what happened, and what gave me the outcomes that I earned. You know what I mean?
Does it, because you've overcome all that and so much of it was self-induced, do you ever feel that your standard is too high or your expectations of others are unrealistic?
Yeah, I catch myself sometimes being like, whether it's someone I'm working with internally or, a candidate or whatever, I definitely, my bar is high. So I have to operate with some patience and some understanding there. What I've gotten much better at is like, if it's 100% effort and the output isn't like 100% what I would want, that's okay. Like, I'm good with that. Like, as long as your effort is there, we're good. I'm good. Right. And I think measuring people on effort becomes something that is fair versus, the quality of what they do necessarily. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. You're a coach, dude.
For sure,
dude. I remember, being in the film room. It's like, hey, dude, that right there, that's an asshole or hero play. There's only two outcomes to what you just did. You either save the day or you come up beyond short.
Yes.
But if you, however which way it turns out, if it's because of your effort, we're good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I don't feel that is a normal way of thinking from a leadership perspective outside of the containers that your people your mentees are leaving. Like, we say that in football. We say that in the Marines.
Yes.
Corporate doesn't talk like that.
No, they don't.
So is there a bit of coaching that goes into like expectation management from these companies that work with you guys?
For sure. And
like, how are you really judging these candidates?
Yeah. Every company is different. I think, thankfully, as you can imagine, a lot of especially our early customers were leaders that came from this background. So like, those are like one call sales cycles. It's like, this is what we do. This is how we do it. This is why we do it. And they're like, yeah, I get it. Like, send over the paperwork. I'm in. Right. Like, we love that, obviously.
Yeah, right.
The hardest conversations we have, honestly, are with HR professionals, because they're typically not coming from these backgrounds, and they're so used to like, well, I'll give you an example that I think you'll really appreciate. A guy used to work for me, and now he's crushing it at this other company. He helped me spin up our veteran vertical. He was an E9 Sergeant Major Green Beret, 5th Special Forces Group, right?
Just an
Badass.
awful human being. Got it. Yeah.
Badass, right?
No war stories.
He interviewed for like 40 companies for what's called an SDR role, which is in the technology industry is entry-level sales, cold calling. And the most common objection that he got was from HR, and it was, well, you don't know how to use Salesforce.com or our dialer or our CRM or whatever it was, right? And it's like, you want to like grab those people by the neck, and it's like, dude, he flew like a $4 million drone in a combat zone. Like, I think he can figure out Salesforce, but these people are just so used to the box checking and not like really learning who the person is and understanding that. Those are the hardest conversations we have. And there has to be training. And what we've really figured out is we need a leader in the organization that's not in HR to go to those people and explain, like, this is what we're doing, whether you like it or not. And this is why, unfortunately. Now that's not all HR leaders. There's certainly ones that get it, but that's that's the most common issue and kind of objection that we run into in the process.
So if we're giving HR giving the organization the benefit of the doubt, in their attempt to be efficient,
yes,
they're washing out really awesome candidates.
Always, yes.
Hence the video.
Hence the video.
Yeah. Yep. That's so funny because I showed our platform to who is now a fractional human resources officer. This whole fractional game is amazing, by the way.
Wild.
And she was like, the reason that we sat down in the first place is because of that HR component, right?
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who, like, to your point, they're the gatekeepers, so to speak, on these initiatives. And she was like, oh, no. Like, this is legit. This will change organizations. This has so much potential, but you need to go to CEOs with this.
Yes.
And they will tell HR to implement it. I was like, oh, interesting. Because you're trying to, like, very, good old, the Marine Corps way. We'll use the proper channel.
Totally.
It's like, no, you gotta go. You gotta jump the chain of command.
Well, there's three. I learned this early in my career that there's 3 types of sales. There's retail sales, which is like your direct to consumer, kind of an emotional sale. Like, these shoes are going to make you feel better and whatever. That's different. Then there's on the B2B side, there's fulfillment and there's disruption, right? Fulfillment is like insulin to diabetes patients. Like, you need to take this. This is why our brand is better, right? And that's a different type of sales motion. Then the disruption is what you're talking about, what we do. And the thing the analogy I always use, dude, is you cannot sell Easy Pass to toll collectors. You can't go to a toll collector and be like, hey, we have this technology that will allow drivers to go right down the highway. We'll have this little collector that will automatically charge their credit card. And then you don't have to sit there and collect coins anymore and count cash. Because when you do that, when you sell that to them, they're like, all they're thinking about, because again, they're thinking about themselves, not the best for the organization, unless you're at the Easy Pass owner or the toll owner. They're thinking, well, what am I going to do? That's what I do. That's what I get paid to do. You mean, so that's the thing. Whenever you're selling anything, you need to think about, like, who do I make less politically relevant in an organization? And I got to be very careful about when and how I talk to that person in a big way.
Yeah. Dude, that's big wisdom, man. I appreciate that.
That's a lot of scars of clothes lost.
Oh yeah, dude. That's not an epiphany. That's like, I'm tired of this shit. Let me figure it out.
100%.
So where does for where Shift Group is now, where do you go from here? What's the next easiest step for you guys in moving this mission forward, man?
I think, we've been pretty like myopically focused on the transitioner for the most part. But I think like the post is proof that you could be 10 days out of sports or the military or 10 years. Like you miss that kind of tribe, as you called it.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't want to, we don't want to be a social media platform or a community, but what we want to be is an ecosystem for people with this background when it comes to professional development. Meaning, okay, you're 5 years into your accounting career and you want to get promoted. Come onto the Shift Group platform. Here's some like career upskilling training that will help you figure out who to talk to and how to talk to them to get that promotion. And then obviously the way we would make money off of that is like your profile goes live in our platform and companies can see you and they can hire. So like building this kind of content and this curriculum around this community, and we're not gonna, the big thing for me, we don't want to be experts in every area, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to kind of, when I say that's why I use the word ecosystem very carefully. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like when somebody goes live on their profile, we want to have this amazing content library and third-party marketplace where Next Level can have an advertisement on there. Mm-hmm. This veteran coding camp that teaches veterans how to code for free. They can have a place, and this population can go find all the resources they need when it comes to very specifically their careers and get better and continue to grow. That's mm-hmm. the future state of where we're headed.
Oh, dude, I love that. And ecosystem is everything. Like yes. Inside the alignment village, we like here's everything that we can support. Here are all the other people who aren't us.
Yes.
That can deepen your deepen your experience.
Yes.
Right. These are subject matter experts outside our scope of practice that you can leverage.
Yes.
By virtue that our resources are your resources. I love that, dude. That's awesome. Totally. Yeah. And that is 100%, the law of reciprocity at work,
totally.
Like it's not what I want to do. However, I know that it's synergistic to our mission. Yeah. So let me create that resource, that relationship, so that you don't have to go looking for it anymore.
Exactly. 100%.
I love that, man.
Yeah,
I love that.
100%.
I love that. Where can the audience go find JR Butler and everything that Shift Group is up to and take advantage of everything that you got going on?
Yeah. Obviously our website is just shiftgroup.io. And then I'm a pretty good follow on LinkedIn because LinkedIn has become like the worst version of social media because it's pretending to be something it isn't. And, people like to spew like kind of comfortable truths. And I've gotten such a reputation of like pushing back on people and commenting on them that every morning I wake up and I have like 6 posts in my inbox from like my friends that are executives at like big companies that can't talk shit. And they're like, dude, look at this post. This person said everybody should be working from home at 23. Please put them in their place, JR. And I do. Like, I don't care. I'm like, what do you mean? Dude, if I worked from home when I was 23, I was a mutant at 23. Like thank God I had to go in the office and someone had to be like, dude, what are you wearing, dude? Like, what are you saying? You can't talk like that in this world. Like, grow the fuck up, right? Like, and you got like this whole generation of kids that's like taking Zoom calls next to their bong and like nobody's telling them to knock that shit off. Like, it's a problem. So like, I say all that to say, follow me on LinkedIn, JR Butler.
I love it, man. I love it. I love it, dude. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for you. We are very much aligned in mission and fully support everything that Shift Group has going on, man. I'm grateful for you, brother. Thank
Thank you for having me, brother.
Yeah. For everybody out there listening, if you're on the path to becoming the fittest leader, visit nextlevelpfc.com. All of our training programs, the alignment village is available to you. We support your growth with integrity, courage, and ownership. But it all starts with alignment first. We'll see you next time.